I've worked the night shift many times in my career, so I'm excited to watch this show. You ready to rock? Let's roll.
We're losing him.
Do something.
I can't stop the bleeding.
Take out the branch.
Can't take out the branch, he'll bleed out.
That's good advice. You never want to take out any object that's inserted into you or gets impaled into you. Taking out the branch is a bad idea. If someone's bleeding out, the first thing you want to do is apply as much pressure as possible. If that's not working, you have to create a tourniquet. And a tourniquet can be made from anything. You can rip off a shirt sleeve and wrap it around the area. Just remember, you have to go closer to the body with the tourniquet from where the wound is. So for example, if the wound is right here, you want to put the tourniquet on here.
His renal artery is cut. I'm gonna clamp it. We're gonna use his blood. Start a line. Go, 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 go.
Maybe this is something you learn when you're learning about war trauma. This is not something I've ever been taught. This sounds ludicrous. It looks ludicrous. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies. I hope no one does this as an EMT. Well, that was not a medically accurate show, but it was quite entertaining, lighthearted, fun, and I could see why a lot of people would enjoy it. So I appreciate you guys sending me the recommendation. I will have to say there's not a lot for me to comment medically on this episode because the conditions that occurred here were very dramatic and rare, and the way that they perform some of these things is just not realistic and not how most hospitals would handle things and administrators would handle things. But, you know, it's a fun, upbeat show, and it's like a hoorah army show, and I dig that. I'm all about supporting the troops. If there's an episode that has more medical stuff that you think is questionable in its accuracy that you want me to look into, please leave it down below in the comments, because you know I'm all about taking your suggestions. Click that subscribe button down below and make sure the bell notifications are on. That way when I upload a video every Sunday 11 a.m., you'll get a notification that the video is going live. As always, stay happy and healthy.